when he goes to the house of Nicodemus, apparently he doesn't say it. When he meets the woman at the well, apparently he doesn't say it. When he enters the house of Lazarus and Martha and Mary, apparently he doesn't say it. In fact, in all the encounters that you hear of in John's Gospel, where Jesus meets people, he doesn't give the usual Jewish greeting, except in this story. And in this story, John, in just a few verses, tells us that Jesus said it 3 times. 3 times. Why does John not bother putting these words on Jesus' lips earlier on? Why is there no reference to these words in Matthew, Mark, or Luke? You know the greeting that Jews make. You've heard it before. Shalom. Shalom. Peace. Peace be with you. And only here, in this passage from St. John, does John record that Jesus says it 3 times. The first time, on the evening of the resurrection, he says, peace be with you, as he enters the room. And then again, he repeats it, peace be with you, as the Father has sent me, so I am sending you. And then, Thomas, peace be with you. John gives us this detail for a reason. It's not accidental. There was a belief at the time of Jesus that when the Messiah came and announced the kingdom and brought about the transformation that only God's Christ could bring, his first words would be peace, shalom. And the peace of the Messiah would be like no other greeting of peace, for it would introduce them to everlasting life. It would introduce them to victory. It would introduce them to the kingdom. So John very carefully tells us that Jesus said, peace be with you, after his resurrection. It's interesting, of course, because the night before he dies, Jesus talks about peace again, according to John, where he says, peace is my gift to you, a peace that the world cannot give. That is my gift. And I suppose we're all too aware that peace is elusive for human beings. We find it very hard to maintain peace or even find it. And that can be on the international scale or even peace in our hearts. In Mass, we have this thing called the sign of peace, and is very, very deliberately placed where it is in Mass. There's been debate over the centuries, why do we have it here? And one of the great popes, Innocent I, wrote about this at some length. And he explained it comes just after the consecration, after the Eucharistic prayer, as we would call it, and before we receive communion. In the Eucharistic prayer, we celebrate the death and resurrection of Jesus. We are made present to his saving work, and the bread and the wine are transformed into his life-giving body and blood. And just as we're about to receive it, we have that prayer echoing the words of Jesus about peace. The priest will then say, peace of the Lord be with you. And then we offer each other a sign of peace. Because, of course, this peace that we share with each other and the sign of peace is more than, it includes, but it's more than us wishing peace on each other. It's more than just us saying that we're concerned for each other. It is that, of course it is. But what we're doing is we're, in gesture and word, speaking of the peace that Christ announces, the peace that we shall share in the great gift of the Eucharist, in the great celebration that we're all part of, and in the future, peace, eventually to rest in peace. It's something to ponder. You know, some people will say, do you know, the sign of peace, it just interrupts this sacred moment when we're all there gathered in the presence of the Lord. Surely this disruption in the middle of all of that, where people turn to each other and talk to each other. How dare we? The Lord is present upon the altar. The Lord present in the upper room greeted them and said peace. They would have responded. But the standard reply to shalom is shalom. Think about it when we have the sign of peace. We're going to do it slightly differently today. For various reasons, we'll have it a little bit later in Mass, but it'll be something to reflect upon. The gift of peace, the peace that we share, the peace of Christ. Shalom.